We want to start with a land acknowledgement that the Smart Center and the Northwest MHTTC acknowledge that we learn, live, and work on the ancestral lands of the Coast Salish people who walked here before us and those who still walk here. We are grateful to aim to respectfully live and work on these lands with the Coast Salish and the Native people who call this home. By now, you probably know that for the last 4 years, SAMHSA has provided a school mental health supplement to the mental health technology transfer centers that were funded in late 2018. There are 10 regional centers and 2 population-focused centers. Anyone who's joining us today from the US has a regional center in or near their location, and we encourage you to visit your center to learn more about what is happening there and what's available in your region. As always, we welcome you to stay connected with us or any other center that provides the support that meets your needs. So as part of the National MHTTC network, our Northwest School Mental Health Center has supported the school mental health workforce in Alaska, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington the last 4 years. And here on the screen are some ways that you can connect with our center. We do have a disclaimer that SAMHSA sponsors this work, but does not reflect any official position on our content. And so now, without further ado, I want to get us started on our session today, Anchored in Our Roots, Restoring Our Ancestral Healing Practices for Self-Care and Wellness. Anchored in Our Roots was designed to provide Black, Indigenous, and other people of color who are school mental health providers resources to navigate the intersectionalities of their work and strategies for anchoring their well-being around their cultural and ancestral roots. We invite you, if you haven't already, to visit the incredible Anchored in Our Roots resources that include some pre-recorded learning opportunities, 2 amazing interactive companion workbooks on decolonizing self-care for personal reflection and shared conversations, and our November 16th recording of Anchored in Our Roots, Decolonizing Self-Care, which is a 90-minute guided tour of the inspiration, conversation, and materials. You can find all of these resources on the main Anchored in Our Roots page, which has been placed in the chat for you. And as we begin our transition over to our speakers, we're curious to know, in what ways have you engaged with the material? Have you listened to the conversations? Have you looked at the workbooks? Were you with us in November? Or is this the first time that you're engaging with us? So if you could share that in the chat, that would be really helpful. And then I just want to take a moment to recognize one of my colleagues, Natalie Flores, who has been just instrumental in the programming coordination for Anchored in Our Roots, including the pre and post production, the program planning, and the website administration efforts. And you're hearing from Natalie in the chat. So just huge kudos to Natalie for all your effort to support this programming. So again, today's session, our focus is on sharing the lessons learned through virtual community healing sessions that have promoted wholesome practices through turbulent times and resources to use to further strengthen ancestral healing connections. And at this time, I want to welcome Dr. Sabine Thomas and Catrice Tybett-Chapin on and give them an opportunity to do an introduction. Sabine, Catrice, it's great to have you with us today.
Thank you, Kelsey. It is wonderful to be here with you, with our team. Thank you, everyone. And it has been a wonderful journey. And absolutely wouldn't be possible. Thank you so much, Natalie, for all your support and help and participation. I would love to ask first my colleague and co-author, Catrice, to introduce herself, and I'll go last.
Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm super excited to be here. I am recovering from COVID, so please forgive any of the fog that's happening as I communicate with you all. But I am just blessed to be recovering well. from COVID, and totally now have a much deeper understanding of the virus and how it impacts our lives holistically. So just wanted to put that disclaimer. I might be a butterfly at times. I am an educator, so I've been in the field for over 27 years. I'm a practicing school psychologist right now for Vancouver Public Schools. I'm also the mother to 4 wonderful daughters, ages 2, and then it jumps to ages 20, 21, and 23 years of age. So I am always learning about what it is like for young adult Black women in America. And I'm at that juncture of time right now where I'm trying to recognize how important their body is and body security is in the midst of everything that's happening. I am also going into birth work. So I am studying to be a birth doula. So super excited about that. And I'll be practicing my doula work in August. And I'm also learning how to be an end-of-life companion, doing some hospice care. So that's a little bit about me. Welcome. And I will now turn it over to Dr. Thomas.
Thank you so much, Catrice. What a gift. What a gift your presence, your experience is to us. And so I couldn't imagine having done this with anyone else but you. And you're showing up as a mama and now absolutely journeying into supporting a birthing community as well as an end-of-life community. So thank you. I'm Sabine Thomas. I am a licensed naturopathic physician and a well-care coach. I am based out in Tacoma, Washington, and have the pleasure of mothering a handsome young fella, 7.5, going on 21. It all depends on the days and the times, but keeps me going, keeps me anchored, and most importantly, and I wouldn't imagine any other way, keeps me vulnerable, but also keeps me honest in my work as we are doing this for our community and with our community. And so thank you very much, MHTC, as well as a Smart Center for our introduction. We wanted to ensure that there is also an opportunity to anchor ourselves around labor acknowledgement. Both Catrice and I have had the privilege of going through this journey, primarily through our lived experience, both as identifying as Black women. And as such, we wanted to also ensure that we can share the following labor acknowledgement. We must acknowledge that much of what we know of this country today, including its culture, economic growth and development throughout history and across time, has been made possible by the labor of enslaved, kidnapped Africans and the ascendants who suffered the horror of the transatlantic trafficking of their people and Jim Crow. We're indebted to their labor and their sacrifice, and we must acknowledge the tremor of that violence throughout the generations and resulting impact that can still be felt and witnessed today. This particular labor acknowledgement was authored by T.J. Stewart. I encourage you, as you are in your own sphere and space of work, as you are entering a space and honoring a land, to also reflect around specific labor acknowledgement within your spaces. We also want to acknowledge and deeply be throughout our time today, recognize the emotional and spiritual weight of mourning lives taken in Buffalo, in Uvalde, and the rest of the country and the world. As we have moved through this space, grief has remained incredibly close to us. Grief of bodies, grief of spirit, grieving of land, and tears. And we have had to traverse joy and grief and healing all the same. And so our time today is going to really be sharing what could not be any more appropriate during this particular time. Is really opportunities to center ourselves around tools, lessons learned, and opportunities to soar through and anchor ourselves within ancestral healing. Thank you, everyone. And I will now ask my colleague, Catrice, to take us a bit through what we've learned this past several months.
Yes. So as you know, we have a ton of resources that are available for those to peruse and to dig into, ebooks, videos, audios. But our baby that we love so much has been our wellness and healing sessions, where we had participants from all across the US essentially come and share their experience as mental health professionals, ranging from behavioralists to pathway navigators who work with the ESD, to social workers, just come and heal, have a space to heal. So what we want to do is share a little bit about what we shared during those healing sessions. They were very intimate. They were not recorded, and much of the information is very confidential. But what we can share with you is the general framework of how a healing session ran, because we hope that in the future at your agencies, your organizations, if you know that there are BIPOC, or the new phrase that I've been really liking is those of global majority. If you know of folks who need to have healing sessions, we wanted just to give you a breakdown on how those healing sessions ran, and then some of the components that you can add to give it some breath and some meat to it. So one of the first things that we did was a psychological fortitude assessment. And this is from Dr. Rita Walker, and it's within her book, The Unapologetic Guide to Black Mental Health. Now, I'm going to be sharing a ton of resources, and we have a Anchored in Our Roots summer reading list because I'm a nerd and I love to read. I'm a book on tape person. So a lot of these, I would say over 80% are audible, or you can get them and, you know, I'm an auditory learner. So just to let you know, 80% of them. So Natalie will put that link again for our summer reading book in the chat for you guys. But we did a psychological fortitude assessment, and I'll just give a brief verbal overview, and then we have a quick video to share with you. So with the psychological fortitude assessment, it's a scale of 1 to 10. And it's a self-assessment that you can do daily, preferably, but at least twice a week. And what you're doing is checking in to see where your energy levels are. So if it's a 1 to 10 scale, 1 to 3 would be like, I'm warm, like, right, I'm having, if you think about that incredible 5-point scale for psychs out there, are the zones of regulation, like it's kind of the yellow, like I am hanging in there. I'm living off of some reserves right now. I'm just getting through. 4 to 6 is, or 4 to 7 is like, you know, I'm reaching that green point, but I'm not there. I'm just stable, I'm balanced. And then 8 to 10 means I'm operating with all of my whole body, like my executive functioning skills are intact. My breathing is regulated. I feel like my body is doing what it needs to do. I'm here and I'm in the moment. So I'm going to share a quick video about the psychological fortitude from the designer, the maker of it. And then we're going to do a little activity in the chat. So I'm so bad with technology, but I'm getting there. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay.
Walker. I am the author of The Unapologetic Guide to Black Mental Health. I am a licensed psychologist, a researcher, and also professor of psychology. And I wanted to make a video to ask you about your PF level. And PF stands for psychological fortitude. If you have the book and you've already started reading, then you already know a little bit about what it is. But for the rest of us, I want to put a finer point to PF, because I've already talked actually in other videos about things that you can be doing to increase your well-being and to improve your engagement in life, to survive social distancing. But I really want for us to get on the same page and have some similar language if we can. So let's define psychological fortitude. It is your ability to be able to think and manage your emotions, and probably more important than anything, to pursue your life purpose. We're all here for a reason, but the reality is that things happen to blow us off track, to take us off course, and we need to be able to use our minds to be able to function. And if you are low on psychological fortitude, if your PF is hovering at about a 2 or 3 on a scale of 0 to 10, then you're not going to be able to function as you would like at work, at school, in relationships, in homeschooling. It's not manageable if you're low. And so what do I mean by that? We're going to quantify PF so that everyone gets a rating. So on a 0 to 10, what's your PF? 0 means that you're really very low, you've got nothing in the tank, you're not able to manage the things that come at you, because life will happen, racism will happen. Turn on social media, look at Instagram. Things are happening outside of our control. Our PF represents our ability to be able to manage those things. If you're at a 9 or a 10, nothing can throw you off your game, nothing can throw you off track. You're able to problem solve, and you're able to do the things that you were put on this planet to do. There are a lot of threats to your PF. As an example, not getting enough sleep. So if you know that you need 7 hours of sleep in order to be able to function, but you've gotten 5 hours of sleep, then your PF might be 6.5, 7 at best. The thing about PF is that we can make adjustments so that we can increase where we want to be. So if you know, and I encourage you, from hour to hour or from day to day, do a self-check, do a self-assessment. Where's my PF right now? Am I doing okay? Am I about an 8 or higher? Good. Maybe you don't need to make any adjustments. If you find that you're hovering at about 4 to 5 on most days, then think about, what is it that's going on that's keeping me from having higher PF? Is it circumstances at work, that you're in a job that you've never liked, that's keeping you from your life purpose maybe? Is it toxic or difficult relationships? What is it that's keeping you from having higher PF? It's gonna fluctuate. That is okay, and that is understandable. But we want to be intentional about maximizing our PF so that we can be our best possible selves. If you don't yet follow me on Instagram or YouTube, or if Facebook is your jam, be sure to follow me on those media, because I do try to share tips, talk about the book, improve our collective well-being, because as you all know, things happen outside of our control, and we have to have the PF to deal with them. Thank you.
Stop video there. Okay. Whoops. Okay. So now what I'd like for us to do is take a moment to think about where your psychological fortitude number is right now. And just go ahead and put that in the chat box. I will do the same right now. So we have some 5s, 4s, 5s. So we're just middle of the line, like balancing ourselves. Very, very relevant, very true. Okay, so this next video may change your PF, but one of the ways that I heal is through like literature. It's through poetry and singing and dance. And sometimes I just need something in writing to help me put words to how I'm feeling, no matter how intense, how scary, how angry I am. So I'm gonna share a video. I came across it today, and I'm gonna let you know I was in tears with it. And so I immediately talked to Dr. Thomas and the team here, and I'm like, we're gonna have to breathe after this. So I'm just letting you guys know I'm sharing it because it's part of how I heal. And as a collective group of people here today, I just wanted to share one of my techniques for healing is just to hear how I feel in writing through other people. So I'm gonna attempt to share again. So please just give me 1 sec. Can you guys let me know if you can see and hear this?
This poem is Mothers of Murdered Sons. This is for
We can.
Mamie
Yep.
Till, who was Emmett Till's mother. Sabrina Fulton is Trayvon Martin's mother. Leslie McFadden, Mike Brown's mother. Women whose sons will be buried before them lose a lot of blood in delivery. Their water breaks torrentially, their bones go soft as yolk. Each contraction, a snatching hand, a howl in a place they want to rub but can't reach, a deliberate flood. The way a dam breaks and swallows a city, a woman's body is just like that. It can announce a funeral better than a gunshot can. For the women whose children are murdered, labor is foreshadow. It tells about the bones and the breaking and the temporary nature of things. Mamie Till laid up 9 hours trying to pull that boy through her quaking thighs, sharpened her teeth on ice chips, whispered prayers that didn't belong to nobody's God, nipples like church steeples high and hard, reaching out to sky just to get that boy here, and he was a fat thing too. Came up grinning and full of himself even then, came up gasping for air, came up from the thick heat of her body, smacking his lips, always hungry, see, always hungry. Took him a while to clean Emmett up. Took even longer for Mamie to stop spilling every bit of herself in that stark white room. Took a while, see, and some of that blood ain't ever washed up. Ain't that a metaphor for always? Now, Sabrina Fulton is a ritual, stony, stoic. Her face don't move much. Like a closed door with too many keyholes, no keys. Each new sorrow, a padlock welded shut, except her eyes keep stories even when she won't. Ever since her youngest boy got killed, you can't look her in the eyes. If you do, Sabrina gonna bewitch you with her suffering. That ain't how she wants it, that's just how it is. Still, something needs to be said about how Trayvon's head just about split Sabrina in two. Looked like somebody was thundering out from under her with a hatchet in his hands. When I tell you she bled, you better know she bled. And they couldn't get it to stop. Doctor came in bellowing like Sabrina had something to do with how she was coming apart. Women keep their own magic, but you better believe God or something like it is involved when a son is being born. How you think a woman goes in as one but comes out as two? They say the last person to split himself like that was Jesus, ain't that right? You've been to Sunday school, you know, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, 3 in 1, 1 in 3. I'm trying to say women have always been about the otherworldly, super terrestrial mathematics of becoming more than themselves since before Eve. Sabrina almost had to have a transfusion because that boy tore her up. So much blood looked like she didn't keep any of it for herself. Nurses and doctors running, trying to stop that woman from flooding the room with the red paint graffiti of sons who gotta get here and can't figure out how to do it without tearing shit up first. Ain't that a metaphor for always? Now Leslie, she doesn't come from anything that bends easily or apologizes much. She comes from something old. Her people split wood, tapped trees, picked cotton, tried it, you know. Tried getting to some place with plenty of work and public transportation and enough white folk who would look at you in the eye, even if it was to spit in it. You've been hungry long enough, that's all the holy you know to look for. Leslie wasn't one of those girls who grew up thinking she could cry to get what she wanted. Fact is, she didn't even cry when she let her firstborn burst through her skin, and he was a big one. Like his daddy, I guess. Dark, thick-boned, like something made to be hunted, skinned, like something to be left bleeding outside in the middle of a road, caution tape everywhere, little kids squalling, old folks hollering, peace be still. And there Leslie was, in the thick of it, watching the boy she fought her own body for, the one who barely got out of high school, the one she alchemized from her simple womb, laid up, circusing the street with his blood, so much of it. Just like when he was born. And the doctors had to cut Leslie to pull him through, how her blood got in his eye, how it seemed like he never forgot the trauma of inheriting a body like the one he had, the boy whose blood started a riot, how we all ended up with it in our eyes. The mothers with murdered sons, their prayers don't arrive in heaven no more. Could be they never did. And maybe God is a charlatan, pitching pennies to the sound of black boys breaking the world with their bleeding. Maybe he's too busy with more righteous indignation. Maybe the melody ain't right. Not enough of the Eucharist in these boys to matter to the omnipresent and nevertheless absentee Father. Maybe he's too busy with the mothers of school shooters. Maybe he's too busy to see he's not the only one with a murdered son. What about these, God? What about these?
I told you guys, I'm like, I mean, this is like now the second time I've heard it. And what I think about every time is that we have like little babies. Like we have little babies. Black and brown babies that are being taken from us. And part of our healing sessions was about experiencing like collective grief and being okay with being angry about that and questioning and wondering. And I thought, like, should I share this? Like, but I'm like, my tears are not just my tears. My tears represent my community. And it's okay for us to share this. But I had to like coach myself. I had to work my way up to saying, this is why we have this series. Because these kids come to us, these families come to us. We're part of like crisis intervention teams. We're part of threat assessments. And reality is BIPOC providers, we have to experience this in our own communities and heal our communities while we're still grieving, right? So part of these healing sessions was about this, like recognizing some of the pain that we're experiencing. And knowing that sometimes there's nowhere for the energy to go, but these healing circuit sessions at least contained some of that energy so it didn't spill out into other places in our work. So I'm gonna ask Dr. Thomas to help ground us. And I just wanna thank everyone for just allowing me the space to share a way that I heal.
Oh, Catrice. I wanted to share that as I was listening and feeling viscerally. You know, I recall when I was carrying my son, as I shared with you, 7.5, going on 21, vivacious, rich in spirit and giving, beautiful being. I recall that the only time I felt in full control was when we were one. And the minute I heard his first breath, I prayed, I meditated, and I have not stopped, that he be protected, that he receives the tools, the skills, that remains healthy, body, spirit, connection to the land, to keep him growing and keep him well. Particularly as a beautiful Black boy in this country. And it is not easy. And a healing session brought so much joy, peace, and also opportunities to heal ourselves as healers. This is really the space that we created, is to be able to bring our armors down and collect and share. And so I wanted to share an opportunity to anchor ourselves. I think my PF just dropped to 2. I'm just going to share. And this is part of our work, by the way, being incredibly vulnerable with each other. This is the place where we literally dropped and said, let's hang on to each other, let's hold on to each other, and let's be with each other during our hour and a half, our 30 minutes, our 1 hour that we had. And I hope and trust that as you're going through part of a material, that you too are able to create this space for yourselves as you're engaging with families, clients, and patients, in your own very own self. And so one of the powerful tools consistently that shows up for me, and I know for several of us as we're going through the healing session, was our connection to the elements, our connection to the land, our connection to nature, unwavering connection, most loyal connections that always surely helped me through. Our last few sessions were anchored around engaging with the elements. And so I'm going to invite you to take a deep breath. If tears are flowing, let them flow. If your body is feeling warm, work through it. Your hands, your breathing rate. Be in that space of understanding and knowing how you are along your PF continuum. If you wish to keep your eyes open, feel free to do so. If you wish to close them, that is fine too. What is incredibly necessary right now is for you to just to be in a space where you can be. Feel free to take yourselves off camera as you wish, if you are. Here we go. The first element is earth. Earth represents grounding and safety in the present and reality. Take a minute or two to land, to be here and now. Place both feet on the ground and feel the chair, the sofa, the ground supporting you. If your eyes are open, look around and notice three things. What do you see? If your eyes are closed, pay attention to three distinct sounds. What do you hear? Air is the second element that focused on breathing for centering. As you take a deep breath in through your nose, bring your shoulders as high as you can. And then exhale through your mouth and drop your shoulders. Do so a couple of times. Remind yourself of the power of being able to bring oxygen. And exhale, clear, cleanse. Breathe out what is holding you. Breathe out pain. Breathe out anguish. Breathe out anger. Breathe out sadness. Bring in hope through your next breath. Bring in joy. Continue to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth with every breath, counting 2 to 4 seconds in, 2 to 4 seconds out. Do so as often as you can. Breathing is effortless. Breathing is meditative. Breathing is spiritual. Breathing is prayer. Water, calm and control to switch on that relaxation response. Check to see if you have saliva in your mouth. Make more saliva by moving your tongue around and imagining the taste of a lemon or chocolate or sugarcane. When you are anxious or stressed, your mouth often dries because part of that stress emergency responses involved in fight or flight shuts off the digestive system. The other part of a highly innervated central nervous system is the digestive system. So it seems that when you start making saliva, you switch on the digestive system again and the associated relaxation response. Gently move your tongue from the roof of your mouth to the bottom. And keep breathing. And when you can, take a sip of water. Fire, probably one of my favorite elements. It lights up the path of our imagination. Bring up the image of your safe place or other positive resources. Where do you feel it in your body? We often refer to the fire in our belly, that intuition, that drive, that joy, that passion. Where is it taking you? What could you do if you could change our world? As you combine all these four elements, remind yourself that you can continue to feel the security now of your feet on the ground. Feel centered as you breathe in and out. Feel calm and in control as you produce more saliva. And you can let the fire light the path to your imagination to bring up an image where you feel safe or a memory in which you feel good about yourself. This is an excerpt from Getting Past Your Past by Francine Shapiro. Thank you for going through this space with us today. When you can, go ahead and open your eyes if your eyes were shut. Take another deep breath, get a sip of water, and then join us back.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thomas. If you guys wouldn't mind, if we could put in the chat box what your PF might be right now. I definitely have increased in my PF. I needed some grounding. So I'm just going to put where I'm at right now. Some of you may be higher, lower than before, but I'm going to put my PF in the box. Grounding exercises definitely support and help. Okay, it's the psychological fortitude assessment for those that may have come in a little bit later. We have our awesome Natalie who can kind of put that video in the chat box so that if you like to learn more about what the PF is, you can get some background information on that. We have a few more minutes, and then Dr. Thomas, I think what I want to do is share that during our sessions, we also discussed a little bit about nutrition. So I just wanted to share just a few of the vitamins, minerals that we think just help with just brain development and like our stabilizing our health and well-being. And Dr. Thomas, please add any additional facts to these things, but protein is really important for our bodies. So if you can have a protein-rich diet that is diverse in its sources, that is always great. Healthy fats. For some people are like fats, but yeah, like avocados, olive oil, just healthy fats are really good for our bodies, actually. If you don't want to consume that through like fish or natural sources, there's like omega-3s you can take or DHA. And so we're always thinking about how we can get good fats into our body. Vitamin C is really, really great to have right now. Vitamin D is pretty essential. And I just found out from a midwife as I'm doing this doula work, the training, they were just telling me that a ton of folks who were in the ER for COVID, when blood tests were done, they found out that there was a deficiency in vitamin D. So vitamin D is good for so many reasons, but that's one of the other ones. And then hydration is super important. Anything else I'm missing that is just really quick things that we discuss?
No, I think you covered it all. I wanted to say that to the space of vitamin D, something that is incredibly important, particularly for BIPOC folks, Black and Indigenous, is understanding the power of the sun. Melanated folks have the capacity to absorb, take in, and produce that vitamin D, but also very quickly metabolize it. It's actually a protective factor for someone like me who grew up south of the equator, where we have so much sun. It is actually a protective factor. Now, when we move to a different part of the world, like Washington State, there needs to be a certain degree of supplementation because my exposure to the sun is no longer the same. And so, yes, in addition to, and these are not medical advice, this is purely educational. In addition to, I definitely would encourage you to research on your own. There have been definitely opportunities to discover protective factors pertaining to consumption of vitamin D, particularly associated most recently with our pandemic. And so be mindful in the summer as we are now out and about, encouraging the opportunity to be out. We have been masked for the past 2+. I still wear my mask in some spaces. But any opportunity to engage with the sun, another tremendous, powerful element, I deeply encourage you to do so. And sleep. Sleep, if we haven't found that out during the pandemic, is crucial. Get your 6 to 9 hours. Some folks can't do 9, but at minimum 6 is regenerative. It enables us, and you will notice this, your PF will remain consistently where you feel your highest at its peak. Your performance, your clarity, your capacity to consistently anchor yourself, and to support clients, patients, colleagues, and friends. When you are rested, you are able to pour into a much deeper well. So that's the only one I would add, Patrice, to the list. And I can highlight particularly in the summer. I'm a big fan of having seasonal diets. We not necessarily diets, but seasonal opportunity to eat food that are in season. I will be the one who like screams out when I see watermelon in the winter, but that's just me. And so that is another tremendous opportunity to stay anchored to the land, to powerful land, and remain close to foods that really have not created so much carbon footprint. Grow your own food. This is another opportunity that we took and talked about actually during our healing sessions, having that proximity to your own food, to preparing your own meal, which is equally healing. Patrice, I think that's all I know that I wanted to share.
Yeah, we have just a few more minutes, but we would love well, I just want to say thank you so much to the MHTTC Center for just hosting us and loving on us and giving us an opportunity to breathe and create space to breathe, I think we'll hand it over to our team and open it up for evaluation materials and Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. It has truly been an honor to get to work with you. I remember about this time last year when this idea was just an idea, like, should we, could we, can we, will we? And we did it. And there's so much more work to do, but the opportunity to learn from both of you and to have you create these spaces has just been such an amazing opportunity. And I want to give this opportunity for people to ask questions that they have for you, but also to express gratitude and share anything that they might have learned from you over this time, or, you know, a resource or a takeaway from either this session or from your other materials. Maybe how they might plan to engage in this material in the future. Are people thinking about hosting some of these spaces on their own? So yeah, just want to open it up to our participants. I'm going to have, oh, thank you, Natalie, for putting the link to the eval. That's really important to communicate back to funders about the importance of this type of work. So we know we ask a lot of people in terms of evaluations, but that information does get used. So just open it up, and I know, you know, folks aren't able to come off video or off mute, but use the chat just to share what's top of mind, gratitude, questions, opportunities moving forward. Oh, Jen, yeah. I think this is the most seen I have felt in a webinar in a long time. I didn't even have my video available. Thank you. Thank you, Jen. Yeah, so just want to give our participants, give this time to our participants to share whatever they'd like to or ask whatever they'd like to. So I might kick it off real quick. I wondered if there were things that surprised you all in this journey, maybe things that you had thought that would go one way but ended up a different way, or, you know, anything that was a learning or a takeaway from you as you created these materials and guided people through them. What can you share?
Kelsey, I I know Catrice might share more, but I will say that we have had the privilege to be co-authors and conduct our research and share and consistently share and organize and frame and lead and guide. During our healing session, particularly, this frame of having us guide and lead, the boundaries of having us guide and lead were almost non-existent. It was a collective effort. It was an opportunity for all of us to show up as human beings first and foremost, and learn from each other. I did not expect to learn, but from the very first engagement, it felt like deep, profound, vulnerable conversations that were taking place for all of us. Whereas part of the expectation might have been to have us facilitate, we participated. And so that was for me a tremendous takeaway, to know that a space like that could easily be created where even though we guided, we created, we fully participated and showed up as such.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with that. I guess there's like an aspect that we haven't been able to address, that's been like the elephant in the room a little bit, was like, what about allies and how do we get folks involved? And in some of our healing sessions, we talked about that. We talked about holding the ground and holding spaces for our people of global majority. But then we also talked about in our healing spaces that the majority of folks that are our colleagues don't look like us. So, but they want to help. And so there was like this contention, like, what do we do? And so I was doing research because this project was about like researching. Like I did far more research than I thought I was going to be doing. And what I found out is that we don't want allies, we want warriors and co-conspirators. And I'm like, when I heard these terms, I'm like, yes, I want someone who's going to be beside me, co-conspiring to make difference. And I heard this term of co-conspirators come up twice, and these folks will be on that summer reading list. But Bettina Love, We Want More Than to Just Survive, was one of the folks that goes into deep detail about what a co-conspirator is, as well as Dr. Gail Parker and restorative yoga for ethnic and race-based stress and trauma. So I so wish that we could delve into that a bit more about co-conspirators and warriors. But I feel for the duration of the time we had for this project, we did what we needed to do to collectively heal.
Part 2. Anchored in Our Roots, Part 2. Warriors and co-conspirators. I'm in. All right, so just want to check in the chat and in the Q&A to make sure we haven't missed anything. We're certainly happy to give folks back some time, but we're also happy to stay on if there are additional comments or questions. Thank you, Natalie, for continuing to populate in the chat those links. If folks have missed any links, feel free to reach out to us. We've got them all copied and we'll share. And actually what we'll do is put together a little sheet of all of those links and add it to the website and put it out in our communication to you all. So no worries. We will ensure that you have all the links to all the wonderful things. Yeah, Jen loves the summer reading list. Excellent. But we want to thank everyone for their time, especially to our Anchored in Our Roots co-authors, Catrice and Sabine. What an honor it's been to learn from you and work alongside you and support this amazing material and work that you have created, and look forward to next steps in the work for sure. Yeah. Final thoughts that either of you have as we close out?
We just wanted to thank folks who have been just coming to every webinar, reading our materials. We have some, we have a little following. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, yeah.
So my nerd self was like, woo-hoo. So thank you all.
All right, well, thank you again for people's time today, and hope you have a good rest of your day and a good rest of your week. Take care.
Thank you.